Now you got space.
Yeah, but you got space. But to me, it takes 3 days to get through the first round. Let's be honest. That's when you're going to have your biggest, I'm going to say, your biggest pushback in the schedule is if each match were to take an extra 30 to give or take hour and some change. I'm not saying it has to happen. I'm not saying it should. I'm saying it would be great for the fans if it were. At the end of the day, 3 out of 5 allows the fan to get completely vested in the match. And unfortunately, especially for the players that are making it for the first time, some of the younger players, they've just gotten their legs under them by the first set.
Yeah. No, that's true. That's true.
And I just feel like, and for the veteran, do I really think that Sabalenka is going to be thwarted by going an extra set for 4 matches? And in that match where she does play somebody who's really good I say really good, they're all really good, somebody who's top 5 or top 8 in the quarters or semis, do I think that match would be phenomenal to watch? I do.
I think that's
and
where
that's
where you get it back.
Right. And for those 4 times a year, we're not talking change the tour entirely. Those 4 times of the slams a year, which is what the men do. I'm just saying, as a fan, I would love it. So anyway, there's my last nail in that coffin of 3 out of 5.
Well, first and foremost, for those, welcome to another episode of the Best 3 podcast. This is a
soon to be renamed Best of 5 podcast.
That's a good one. That's a good one. That's only 4 times a year. I'm still Alvin. That's still Tori. We come to you on the third week between the French Open and Wimbledon. On the, I guess the draw will come out in a couple of days here. This is Tuesday, so we're talking Friday of this week. But why wait to talk a little grass until Friday? We got plenty of time to talk about the draw on Friday. But this is a good time of year. This is a good time of year. Except on the court. I hit this morning. Tori, it's hot.
Buddy, it is hot Atlanta right now, Alvin. It is hot Atlanta. I got to get back to the courts in about an hour and some change, and I'm going to tell you right now, I am hydrating. I've got my drinks. It's even too hot to drink a Coke right now, Alvin. I mean, for lunch, I have to drink sweet tea with a little extra ice and a little watered down. I mean, I don't want anything too heavy. I'm eating salads. I'm eating, wraps. I mean, I don't want anything too heavy. It is hot outside, and it's only going to get hotter this week. I guess there's a heat dome all over the Midwest right now. And buddy, we didn't need any help. It was hot last week. It's warm this week.
Heat dome is like a heat wave that doesn't move. So that's fantastic. But we are in this kind of, we were talking about best of 5 tennis and how it, the women the women deserve the opportunity to show that they can do it, and show, how much more depth there is to the women's game and how much depth there and complexity there can be within a women's match, that you only get with the extra time that comes with playing 3, 4, 5 sets. Or I guess for the women, an additional potential fourth and fifth set.
100%. And I'm so sorry for cutting you off. There was a great quote by Jimmy Connors, and I wanted to say it before it slipped my mind. Jimmy Connors, and it's one of my favorite quotes. I got several of them that go through my brain that I appreciate more as I get older. Jimmy Connors' famous quote, and many of the viewers will appreciate this and will likely remember it. I never lost a match. I just ran out of time to make an adjustment. You sit with that for a second. That's tennis, man. Right? You sit with that. All that comes back to your 3 out of 5. Give that player an additional set to see what they may try next. In the rock, paper, scissors of things, they may try something else simply because, you know what? I tried this and I tried that. Let me just try it. You got 3 different sets to figure it out. Come on. They're certainly playing for quite a bigger purse, right? Why not extend the match time a little bit? And I'll be honest, Alvin, and we had this conversation before, it's still my biggest argument for the whole prize money thing. It has nothing to do with male and female and this and that and the third. It's 3 out of 5 sets. I'd like to see more tennis, and I'd like to keep it to that point. I don't want to go down that wormhole, but I do want to say I think the fan would appreciate it. I think the player would appreciate it. I know the top players, they play a lot of tennis already. I can see the pushback from them. I understand that, and it's changed. I can understand from a tournament director standpoint. That's a lot more time per match, per round, per. I get
It
all
is.
that. To
Yeah.
your point,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
logistics, TV. I see everybody's issue why not to do it. I only say, you made a comment just then about give them a, showcase to show they can. I know they can. They do it all the time. They play practice sets. They play 3 and 4 sets a day when necessary. It's not an issue of can. It is. We would, as the fan, would like to see it. We're coming up. This is my last comment on it. We're coming up, Alvin, on just past Game 7 of the NBA final. Right? You recall the time, Alvin. I know you do, when everything used to be 3 out of 5 in basketball.
Yeah, they flip-flop. They changed
Right?
the first rounds. It used to be a best out of 7, then they went to 3 out of 5, and then back to best out of 7. Yeah.
Right. And now I feel like, especially with the home away, and whatever the whole format is, it used to be 1-2-1, and then 1-1-1, whatever the format was, right, as far as the home and away. You get the fans more involved, right? Was it really about them playing an extra game or two? They've already played 82. You know what I mean? It was about the competition, proving beyond a shadow of a doubt, we beat you at home, we beat you away, and so on and so on. And it helps home court advantage mean something, obviously, later in the playoffs. So I only say it to say, was it really for the players or was it for the fans? To me, it was more for the fans. You could put a small point in there for revenue,
I was
too.
about to say, I would never overlook the coin, if you will.
The quan is always. Anyway, we can move on. And it's funny you mentioned this. When you sent me that text about some thoughts of Wemby. I haven't been back to Wemby in 20 years, and I was thinking about the heat. And then you're talking about the preview for grass. And buddy, we were there. Sko got to the semis one year. Would have played Monfils, by the way. He had pulled a groin and lost 6-6 in the semi. Would have played Monfils. Would have been an epic match.
Junior Wemby.
Junior Wemby, 2004.
They played that at Roehampton,
fact,
or at? It has to be Roehampton.
He played Roehampton. Yeah. No. At Wemby. Roehampton was before.
Okay, where do they play the
before.
junior event? Like, do they play it
right there?
Oh, on the outside courts, like week 2.
Outside courts.
Yeah.
And one of them was whatever the smaller stadium court. I got the lanyard up here somewhere. I'll look it up. But the lawn tennis championships, as they call it. The only one that doesn't have a map of the site on the back.
Oh, okay.
All the rest of them do. Anyway, long story. The point I'm making is they're right there on the grounds. It brought me back because when we were there 2 weeks with Roehampton, how chilly it could still be in England around that time of the year. And when it gets hot, people were getting sunburned at like 70 and, barely 80 degrees. And I remember looking around, and when I see, I'm talking like tomato burn. Like they were some of these, the Brits can be a bit pasty sometimes, because they don't see a lot of the sun. And man, I saw women just and happy to be in their little sundresses and loving the weather, but starting to fan themselves. And I'm like, it's 10 o'clock in the morning.
Right. Yeah.
it's 75.
So,
you know what I mean? This is not 95. Anyway, it brought our heat, what we're used to over here, obviously in Atlanta, and what the Brits are used to in London. SW19 is a bit different.
Yeah.
So I wanted to just lead off.
Well,
that.
I think that's a good place to start because the grass court quote unquote season is more like it's over in a sneeze, right? It's a very compact season. There's 3 weeks between the end of the French Open and the beginning of Wimbledon, right? So at best, you're going to get 2 events in. If you do well enough, you're going to play one. It's like, for instance, the Alcarazes and the Sinners of the world, and I think even Sabalenka and Coco. They're all one event, and then head over to the All England Club, and then just start training on the outside courts there. So it's very quick, and I find that it's hard to really deduce anything from the results for the most part in terms of how players will turn those warm-up events into into results come slam time next week.
Right. There's just too few.
There's
of
too
them,
few of them.
And the grass is hit or miss. Let's be honest. Early in the week it's slick, it's low, it looks beautiful, but toward the end of the week it's a little more chewed up. It's a little more, it's just do you have the type of game that, you know, that helps, or that is enhanced by the grass? And on the flip side, do you have the kind of skills, body type, speed, whatever balance, that will allow you to really counter a few of them that do? And that to me, as much as the clay helps the clay quarter, and the grass helps the harder, more driving player. I've I've seen too many, matches on the grass where it didn't really matter.
Right.
At
Yeah.
the end.
Yeah.
The better player, be they ball striker, be they court coverage, they found a way to make it work on the
Right.
grass. You know what I mean? Just
And I think that's
they used to say, "Oh, you can't stay back on the grass." Now everybody stays back
right.
on the grass. And it's
Yeah.
like, I'm just saying, I've seen that. I've thrown that myth out years
I think
ago.
you have to take like all that out. Like, and this is almost
Yeah.
you can level this up to just tennis in general. The better players
Sure.
generally will win the match. I don't care what surface we're playing on, because tennis is a
100%.
game of adjustments, macro adjustments, micro adjustments, whatever. And being a great player, by default means you are good at making adjustments.
Exactly. Champions
Champions
adjust.
adjust. It's not by chance that the greatest players ever
Right.
play our sport have all won Wimbledon. I'm just saying
Yep.
they've all won it. So
Yeah.
I'm also willing to toss that out. I look at Wimbledon kind of like Monaco for F1. It's very unique. There is nothing else
Yep.
like it. It is
True.
that the Monaco Grand Prix is a very straightforward kind of race. Like, once you get in front, you're kind of in front. They're racing in a line pretty much the entire time. And Wimbledon, much
Right.
like the stripes behind you, straight up and down. We're not. It's
Straight up and down.
not a lot of finessing your way out of. Maybe poor choice of words for finessing, but it's very shot maker's paradise.
Sure.
Like, it's almost like pickup. It is like we're gonna get dirty, and we're gonna see who's got the shots. That's what it comes down to.
Yep.
You're not gonna grind your way to Wimbledon championship.
Right.
And that's why it's not my favorite slam. I'll be the first to say it's probably my least favorite slam to watch.
Yeah.
I
Right.
don't enjoy watching the tennis. I can't get into it.
In terms of,
I like the way Wimbledon is presented on television.
sure.
I do not enjoy watching grass court tennis. I'm not saying it's boring, but of all
Okay, fair
of the varieties of surfaces, it is the one
Right.
that gives me the least amount of feels. What say you?
Yeah. I've gone back and forth on this in my years on this terra firma. As a kid, I thought that was the best tournament
Sure.
around because it was grass. It meant what it meant,
Sure.
right? And I was watching Bjorn Borg, win 5 in a row, back in the late 70s, early 80s. As I got older, I realized, in the days I mentioned Kevin Kern on this podcast before, it became server's paradise, not just shot maker's paradise. So if you could bring it, and being a big guy myself, I like to serve hard. I started seeing the monotony,
Yes.
of big serve tennis, no return, and so on. I went there in 2004, and I realized this is hallowed ground, and I said, wow, this is big time right here, and I realized how the history of it all kind of made sense. My wife was raised Catholic and went to Italy and then visited the Vatican, and all of a sudden she was like, wow, like she wasn't really the strongest Catholic by any means, but she said she felt a little more spiritual when she got there for some reason, and she's not Catholic right now. But I said to say something about the building, something about everything there. It was years ago, but she made that comment to me in a bit of a joke, but I laughed. I'm like, yeah, a building like that, a place like that will make you feel something. You know what I mean? And so I think that's what I'm getting at. Long-winded way to answer your question. I think Wimbledon is my It's tied for third because of the place it holds and the in history, and obviously to the throwback with how the game was invented. But it's the last holdout for the shot maker, the big server, the player that hits through the court, and I feel like it holds its place to hold the game in balance. And I say that to say, I wish more players. I wish Wimbledon the whole grass season was longer. I mentioned that before on this podcast, because I think it would favor more different types of games and so on. I just feel like if it were gone, or the other events were shorter, we would have an onslaught of grinders on the tour that would not make the game have much variety. If the game was all hardcore, I think that would also be an issue. I just feel like it holds a place to hold the game in check. I guess that's the easiest way I can say it, to keep the variety, because Alvin, love the variety, and I love the change of it all, especially following Clay, right? And I'll be honest, I'm looking forward to another epic battle, potentially between Alcaraz and Yannick. Not looking too far ahead.
Yeah. Let's not go there. Let's not go there.
But I want to say it for this one reason: to see how different that battle will be, or whoever it is in the final. That's my point. It's not about them per se. It's about, we just saw a phenomenal final, one of the best of all time. Now, I'd look forward to seeing, now, how much does the surface change? You remember that match where Fed played Nadal in that half grass, half clay court, right? That was just, everybody was thinking, yeah, but could he do it on grass though? Yeah, but could he beat him on clay? And then all of a sudden they, I don't know how many, I guess 1 million or 2 they made for that one court, but they put it out there, and it was one of the best, televised kind of things at that time. I'm just saying it changes things, and it forces you to your point, adjust how you are good, and the good players will show you.
I'll say I appreciate what vegetables do for my body.
Here we go.
I don't want to eat them all the time. I need to have. I need to have some.
It's once a year,
no,
bro.
I need to. I know. I'm not saying get rid. I'm not saying get rid of grass court tennis. I am with you in that we could do with another week. Push Wimbledon back. Have a proper 4 weeks in between Wimbledon and French Open. Proper 4
weeks. And take a few weeks off the clay court season.
No. Take a week off of the hard court season. We don't need more beatdowns. I mean, do we really need? We don't need the Atlanta tournament. Apparently, it's gone. We're fine. Yeah, we're fine. I will say, so I've been to the All England Club twice in my life. First time was in 2016. I went there before the event. I was in London for part of my bachelor party. It's another story for another day. And I took a sojourn out to the All England Club, went out to Wimbledon, the neighborhood, and it was a really, really cool experience. I took the train out, then took the little bus, and then I walked up, saw the town of Wimbledon, like
Wimbledon Park.
It's a real town. It's great. Very cute, if you will, and got a chance to take the tour. I saw the museum. They took us into center court. Like they still had the scoreboard on from the previous year, Djokovic Federer 2015 final. The scoreboard was still on with the scores on it. So it was like that place was like frozen in time,
like a true museum piece. Like it was still standing in time.
It was fantastic. And then that was 2016, and then 2019, I got a chance to go back for the tournament, and my wife and I were planning on going, but she was just short of. She was like 2 weeks away from having our second kid, and it was a planned C-section. So like it was like we had a date, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go. My friends were living in London at the time, so I flew in. I hit the ground running. Had a great day in London. The very next day, got up like 3:30 a.m. Took an Uber out to Wimbledon, and I queued. I went through the queuing experience.
And queuing. That's a whole experience.
It was it's like going to a day party, but you're standing up for 7 hours before you actually get in. So like to your point about the weather, like I'm in jeans, shirt, sport coat, and I'm a little chilly, but I'm comfortable. I think we got there about 5 o'clock in the morning, and you're in line till like 10:30, and then the line starts moving. People are being camped out, and the process is the process. I'm not going to go through it, but once you get in, and I got my pass and everything, I'm ready to go. And I saw some really good tennis, but also it was day one, and the place was pristine.
Yeah, beautiful.
I was like, this is. I mean, it was a perfect. This picture right here. That picture is from day one, 2019. I took that picture out on one of the outer courts, getting ready to watch Felix play. And I was just blown away by how perfect everything looked. Yeah. It was unreal. And
the officials are dressed to the
nine. You can see some of the. I mean, people with the lanyards on. I mean, those lanyards were thick. Like those were no strings around their neck. Those things were thick with gold clasps. I'm sure the clasps were real gold. I was just so every single detail was perfect.
Buddy, they don't mess around.
Not one bit. The downside was, damn, dude, that place was tight, cramped.
Yeah. Everything was tight.
It's
the hallways going into where the museum is tight. Going into center court is tight and low.
It's a country club. It's just a country club in a very small area in a small neighborhood. It is a country club.
Yeah. It's funny you say that. I've never been to the Masters. I've driven past it. Years
I'm with you, right?
But I felt like that's what it is. For those 2 weeks, the world gets to come inside. You know what I mean? And the other 15 weeks of the year, you don't. It's their club,
exactly.
That they let us into.
Exactly.
That's how I always kind of.
Funny thing about the Masters, right? I tell this story often, right? So the Masters in Augusta, Georgia. We here in Georgia go down to Augusta a lot for tennis tournaments, right? The old Augusta 2-pointer, top 16, the whole deal. I couldn't tell you how many times, it's more than 10 times, I had been to Augusta as a child between the ages of 12 and 18 before I realized that Augusta Newman Tennis Center.
It was the same Augusta, right?
Was literally damn near across the street from Augusta National. Not till I was working for you, we went back for a tournament, and then you and Shoemaker, one night we just drove back there, and I'm like, oh, so you mean those trees that I'm looking at from the courts of Augusta Newman Tennis Center are on the other side of those trees is Augusta National.
With all that, with the big thick windscreen material throughout the fences. That's it, right there.
And Wimbledon is very much so the same. It's just this club in this neighborhood. And anyways, it's great. Everyone should go. I will never queue again. My feet have not yet recovered, and that was 6 years ago.
And there's several queues. People don't understand. There's queues all around the complex to get in at the 3 or 4 different gates. I mean, trust me. The other thing that people don't understand, and I'll put this in there that you probably know, they may have changed it since, but I'm sure it's probably similar. There aren't many hotels, and it's not in London. So you are staying in people's homes, either a room or the upstairs or whatever. A lot of people in that area have built on add-ons, and obviously everything's vertical. It's like New York. There's not a lot of space, and you're not staying at the Hyatt or the Grand Hyatt or whatever nice inn, Ritz Carlton, Wimbledon Park. No. That's London, and you are an easy train ride from just to get out to Wimbledon Park and that whole area. But the point I'm making is it's not like you can just walk, get a hotel, get out there, get breakfast, and and take the train or take the Uber cab to where I drop up the front. Everything there is a process.
It's a process.
From the queuing to getting there if you get tickets to go see it, you put in some work.
Oh yeah,
you put in some work to go watch that match.
Oh yeah, it's hard work. It's hard work.
So, and back then it was Hinman Hill. And this is, of course, it was going to end up being renamed Murray Mound.
Yeah, or did they rename it, or did they build another one? I can't remember.
I think they rebuilt that one and made it bigger. Is what I think they did, but I'm not sure. Okay. I have been there a few years, but Andy was obviously in that same class with Sko and with Monfils and the rest of them. So it was a pretty cool time to see it. I know Judy Murray and obviously her other son Jamie, who's obviously a very
Yeah.
good doubles player, and is still playing to this day. So anyway, good stuff, Alvin. I'm looking forward to what we're going to see, and I'm looking forward to about three different all the players, but three in particular. Bublik has been having a nice little surge as of late, and couldn't be happier for him. I am looking forward to seeing Taylor Fritz. Looks like he's back
Did you
healthy
steal my
a little
notes?
bit, which is
Are
great
you
to
in?
see
Are you
him.
in my notes right now?
I'm
What do I
not in
need
your
these notes
I'm
for?
just telling you. Is that what you're about to come up
I
with?
wrote down
And,
Bublik has got a hold of his crazy. He's got it. He's got it in the
man.
perfect spot right now.
Oh, that's good for him, man. I'm so happy for him. I haven't seen a guy that borderline crazy but that talented since probably Goran and Murat. And
The Murat comp
he's
is
kind of
good. That's a good comp.
right. He's and the fact that he's I'm going to use the term beleaguered like Murat was. Murat was fighting Murat half the time. And you knew that he was fighting Murat. And every once in a while, the two Murats made peace and allowed him to play some great tennis.
Yeah.
Bublik reminds me.
Yeah, like I think it was
Goran had to get a hold of his crazy. Goran was just crazy and just more emotional and almost that genius.
Well, yeah, Goran was like,
if I can make this, you can't touch
right.
it. But Murat was talented. Not that Goran wasn't. Murat was talented, but almost afflicted. Like he was so pissed at himself half the time that he couldn't get out of his own way, and he knew how good he was. We all knew how good he was, and it was such good tennis to see when he was actually calm and in good spirits. Because man, when he was on, buddy, there was nobody that could touch him. The greats at the time, Fed knew
when he put it all
he
together.
was
I think that was like 2001, 2002, somewhere in there. I didn't look it up. Didn't give me the year, but when I think Australian Open is when he came out and he beat the brakes off of everybody, and it was like, oh, he's got it. Like he's got it. And he even said it as much. Like, yeah, I've got it together right now. And Bublik is a little bit different, where I just feel like he's matured,
right. Closer to Goran in that.
He's matured just enough.
In the comparison to me of the two.
He's matured just enough to like realize that a little bit more focus when to use the imagination. But he's playing some actually pretty disciplined tennis, and then it turns out like he's got all the goods. He's got all the goods, and I do feel like I'm very curious at this point in the week. I'm curious to see where he lands in the draw. Right. Taylor Fritz, like you mentioned,
but I'll counter that. Doesn't matter where he lands in the draw. You know, if he's playing well and he's serving well and he's a big guy, he will disrupt whoever's there. I feel bad for who's in his draw. Is more what I would say, because he could come through. There's so many players in that 10 through or 8 through 20, without getting too much into the draw, this and that are the size and stature, right, of your Alex de Minaurs, right? That would, but just physically speaking, are a bit of a mismatch when you got a guy like
on grass.
On grass. So you got a big guy, big serve, big strokes, and the surface aids the penetration of that ball. And at some point, you just can't retrieve enough. I mean, you just can't retrieve. So that's what I'm saying. And I think that's what I'm getting at is those kind of guys would not fare as well with a Bublik who's playing good ball. And that's like, you can't just be a good server anymore. You got to have the rest of the goods. Bublik has the rest of the goods. And it's just a matter of, can he stay healthy? Can he stay focused and stay in this mental space he's in? Which brings me up to one more big hitter who I hope, and we just talked about his coach. Can Andrei Rublev stay? Can he catch fire at Wemby this time? I know it's incredulous now. I only say it to say nobody hits it bigger. And I feel like if there was a tournament for him to do it, it'd be this.
I'm gonna let you say that by yourself. I'm not touching.
I'll say it.
No.
I'll say it just because of the game style and the fact that the guy's been only top 10 in the world for the last several years. So to me, you can't tell me he's chicken feed.
From henceforth, you will not hear this guy right here.
No
Talk
more
about Andre
comments
Rublev
about
again
Rublev.
until he
Done.
gives me a reason to. That's all I'm saying.
Fair.
That's all I'm saying.
Fair.
You briefly mentioned Taylor Fritz. Yeah, I mean Taylor Fritz might be. He's going to be a top 4 seed. No, he's 5. Yep. He'll be 5. Because Jack was able to sneak in there and get the 4 seed. So I mean Taylor creeping between 5 and 8 there. That's it's obviously it's Bublik, it's Taylor. Where is Novak going to land? It's going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to seeing how this draw shakes out.
Yep, could be some great matches because that's a real tricky for 5 through 8 right there. You know what I mean? That's a real tricky 5 through 8, and depending on who of the 5 through 8 draw the 3-4, right? Is really where your fireworks could happen. You know what I mean?
And I'm looking. I mean, honestly, I feel like Alcaraz is going to be solid. I don't really change my opinion on on what he can do at Wimbledon based upon who he plays, unless it's like Novak.
Please.
Like maybe if he gets Novak in a quarter.
I don't think. I think he's playing about as good a ball as he's ever played. He has no reason not to. He loves the grass. He plays well on the grass. He moves well on the grass. Provided healthy, he's not an issue. I'm looking more for the matches leading up to it. Same with center. I don't think there's a chance. There's always a chance. Dumb and Dumber. So you're saying there's a chance, right? There's a chance. But
let me say this. It's gonna be weird. I'm gonna say it.
Okay.
But it's the truth, so I'm gonna say it.
Okay.
Jannik Sinner has lost 2 of his last 3 matches. What are you gonna do? How do you feel about that? You don't feel anything about it. You feel nothing about it. Zero.
Good friend of mine, Adam Gusky. Goose, if you're watching, what's up? Goose would tell me, TH, I used to beat Peter Korda in sets back in the day. Played him in a tournament. He beat the brakes off of me 1-0. He was like, it was like I was playing a different guy. He says, I'm going to tell you right now. He says, when it comes time for the bigger tournaments to kick in, these guys take it up a notch. He says he used to hear about Pete getting beat all the time in practice sets. Doesn't matter. He says in warm-up tournaments, and I think we both know Pete's record on the grass. I think he's one of those guys that won it a few times. So I say it to say, Alvin, no, I'm not worried about center at all. What I'm worried about is who plays center and thinks they have a chance. The guy just moves too well. I think he's, we talked about this with Ken Nguyen, playing my girl Sabalenka at a warm-up before the French. I don't call that a loss. I call that a good win for her, and
okay,
just keep it moving.
Okay.
So there's no thought. Now you tell me.
Do
I think he's vulnerable more on grass? Yeah, of course I do. Do I think that will affect his trajectory in Wimbledon? Absolutely not.
Okay, that's fair. I'm fine with that.
Who else were you thinking of in your matchup? I had Fritz and obviously Andre and Bublik. Who was your extra? Who was your extra person that you think might? I was disappointed. Sorry, one just came to my brain. Feast, man, he's starting to play good ball, and then he has to.
Yeah, I mean, he's young. That back. Let's
can't affect that with the back.
I want him. I'm glad he did pull out, did try to push it. I mean, even if we don't see him at the U.S. Open, that's fine too. Like he's young. Like now's the time to fully recover. The game's obviously there. Not a lot of points to defend. Like unless the rest of the year. So it's fine. It's fine. It's with the Bublik, the Feast. It's Medi's always there, big serve. And this is I feel like it's gonna be pretty straightforward. I feel like it's gonna be pretty straightforward on the men's side, save for where a Bublik or a Novak falls in the draw. Like that's about it. But yeah, and I was.
I'm taking your route on Medvedev. Just pass.
Oh, okay.
I'm just going to be an absolute pass. No good, no bad, no nothing. Show me from the show me state. Show me.
Okay.
And then we can talk about it. I'm going to counter your I'll take one half of the best friend duo. And you'll
it's
take
not that
the
we're
other.
Dismissing like Russia at a hand. It's just they're so present in the top of men's tennis that it just happens this way.
And Safin set a pretty high bar that I would love for one of them to bring some more fireworks. This would be a great time to see.
Fair.
As I
said. I was thinking, and this kind of goes back to my Wimbledon's not necessarily my favorite of the Grand Slams. It's not. It's my least favorite of the Grand. Oh God, I hate saying that because
when you say it out loud,
it sounds dumb when I say it out loud because there's so much, especially here in the United States, because Wimbledon usually falls right on and around 4th of July. It reminds people of summer. Whether you're on vacation, you're out of school, like it's got this thing. It used to be on NBC and the dun dun dun. Like it. I have a lot of memories of Wimbledon on television, and I've been, and it's cool to go. It's not necessarily fun to watch the tennis there, right? And I didn't really per se enjoy being there. And so I'm looking at this from a very big standpoint of like all the things that go into enjoying watching tennis. I enjoy watching clay court tennis. Is my favorite tennis to watch, like hands down. The full expression of our sport on clay. So that's my favorite. Australian Open is actually second. I love the Australian Open. I've been 3 times. I love Melbourne. I love the Australian Open. It's so much fun. It's right in the middle of the city. Like it's the best. It's and if you're not there and you're in the the northern hemisphere, it's cold and dark where you are. You turn the TV on, it's bright and sunny. Blue courts, fantastic. US Open's kind of a shit show. I don't particularly.
Wow.
It's not for me.
Hey, tell us how you really.
It's not. It's too much. It's too much. And I'm going this year. Okay. I haven't been since 2008. I'm going this year. It'll be fun, I'm sure.
Looks like they're really twisting your arm to go, Alex.
I mean, I'm going with Jerome, brother Jerome, and the rest of the travel crew.
My main man, Jerome.
Yeah.
OU's finest. My man.
And it'll be New York's great. Like it's going to be in New York, but like. As a tennis purist, do I really want to be in New York watching tennis? Not particularly. I'd rather go to Charleston to watch tennis. For
the tournament itself, I know what you're saying.
Yes, for the spectacle is the US
Open.
Like
you're conflicted. You're conflicted for you are a well-traveled, well-versed brother who has seen a lot and been to a lot of places and. With choices, right?
Yes.
To me, this is just me, and I've known you for a long time. I feel like you are at a crossroads of travel, right? Tennis.
Yep.
And let's face it, quality of experience / engagement. And I feel like any number of those things can be variables, right? Who plays who, the day, the draw, the match, weather, right? The proximity to the players is a big deal. That to me is a huge deal. The city itself. I mean, dude, I'm right there with you. Melbourne was one of my favorite places. I mean, that I went to. Loved it. Wasn't that keen on Paris. Loved the French. Wasn't that keen on Paris. I really wasn't.
I love Paris.
So to your point, I get you. I'm just saying. But speaking strictly from a tennis standpoint, not the travel, not the ticket costs.
Oh God, don't get me started.
Right,
ticket
not
costs.
the who's playing who. Right, you know what I'm saying? I mean, trust me. If I'm looking just at the tennis, and the tennis alone, to me, if you're looking strictly from a tennis, I think that each of them have their own. But you can't tell me that the U.S. Open hasn't had some of the best matches you have watched. I bet if you listed your top 10 matches, you can't tell me that the U.S. Open wouldn't be 4, if not 5 of those 10 of the best matches of all time that you've seen, watched on TV, or what have you.
It would definitely have at least 30% of the matches in there. At least 3. Yeah.
30. At least 30 of the 4 of them is what I'm getting. I'm not talking about matches of all time. Like I'm talking matches of the.
Yeah. It would have. 3? Probably 3. Probably 3. And a night session at Ash is unique.
Oh,
It is unique. Watching an American on an outside court at the U.S. Open, I'm getting chills right now because that is
it's awesome.
No one rides harder for their home players than the Americans. Like I've seen Heather Watson at Wimbledon. I've seen Alex de Minaur at the Australian Open. It's different. It's different. Like yeah. So yeah, I am conflicted, and maybe I'll have some different thoughts when I get back. We shall see.
Yeah,
we shall see. I was thinking from a Wimbledon standpoint, favorite matches I've ever seen at Wimbledon, the ones that stick out, not necessarily the best matches, but the ones that stick out. And I struggled putting together like 4 of them.
A list.
But I was able to put together 4 of them. I'll give them to you.
Okay.
And I'm younger, right? So I'm in my early 40s, so like a lot of this stuff doesn't register for me until like after like high school and beyond. But kind of starting there. 2000 semifinal, Agassi versus Rafter. So
that was a big match.
They went 5 sets in that one, and they met 3 years in a row, 99, 2000, 2001, at Wimbledon, and 2000.
More than a few dives on the grass for the low cup volley.
Oh, Pat Rafter. Pat Rafter made you believe in the serve volley.
With the red Prince rackets, with the old.
Of course. The sunblock on the eyes and the ponytail up top.
Exactly. Like, and the white.
That's so cool.
With ponytail.
But that one, I mean, I was
palm tree, whatever.
That one was really cool. I remember being at this restaurant called Top of the Hill in Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and we were playing at the Southern Clay Court event that was in Cary, I think, at the time.
I think it was in Carborough.
Carborough, yes.
Remember that?
Correct.
Carborough, North Carolina. I remember that. I remember
18s,
that match. Yeah.
18s played there before going to Clay's. And so I was there with some friends, traveled with some friends, and we were having lunch, and I remember watching that match during lunch there. And that just felt really cool. 03 Fed versus Philippoussis. Fed's for not for the quality of the match, but that I saw Fed hit the coolest shot. I remember that shot like it was yesterday, and I was again I was in North Carolina, but I was with my brother. I think he was at the 16s event, so I was traveling with him. And Fed hits a serve, first serve, tags it. Philippoussis unloads on a forehand, hits it so hard that Fed is forced to hit the ball. As soon as he lands on the ground, the ball's back on him.
I remember this ball.
Takes it out of the air, backhand. Boom.
Right. I remember
open court.
I think it was a backhand.
And I was like, what?
Like a backhand 1-8 swinging volley right away.
Yeah. I mean, maybe 3 feet inside the baseline. Just and I was like, that's not
from his land of his serve.
Yeah. It's like serve, land, knock it off. I'm like, what was that?
That's when Roger was wearing the headband and had the long hair.
And I think that was his first Wimbledon. That was his first Wimbledon win.
I think he won it. I think he won it in 03. Yeah, I think
that was the final. That was the final. So
there you go.
08.
Scud.
08. Fed Nadal. True story. I didn't see that match live.
Okay.
I didn't. I was on a guy's trip in Virginia Beach.
Which one was the long crazy fight?
That one.
Was 08?
08.
Because I thought there was wasn't there one in 10 as well? That was pretty long. Wasn't that Fed Nadal
maybe,
again?
but this is like the one where like if they had played one more.
That's when they beat him the first time.
Lights can't like it's dark. The whole deal, that iconic match.
That was one I was thinking of there. I kept
I didn't,
but I remember.
I didn't see that match live. I woke up.
We had to sell. We were coming back from a tournament. We stopped. I only saw the last 2 or 3 sets. We stopped to get off to go get something to eat because we were heading back from a tournament just to finish watching that final. I remember that.
That
was
unfortunately quite hungover that morning and didn't get up till like damn near noon. And I was traveling with some friends, 2 of them which I played college tennis with, and they were just going crazy. And they're like, "Dude, you just missed the best match ever." And I'm like, "I want to go back to bed right now." I don't think I watched it until like 2020, to be honest with you, recently. And then 2023, Alcaraz, Djokovic.
That's up there with one of yours. Okay.
That was a special match that felt like a moment in tennis time.
Okay. That's his last slam he's won, correct?
No, Alcaraz won that one.
Oh, Alcaraz
Yeah, that was he beat him in 5. Lost first set 6-0, 6-0 in the first, and then came back and then won it in 5. Djokovic breaks his racket on the net post, like that whole
Right. I'm thinking about last year when he had the tape on his leg and he beat him in 4. Yeah, that was 23. Yep. To my point about Alcaraz on grass, I forgot about that match about 2023. Yep. Why was that a bigger moment to you than
that one? Felt like a passing of the torch, like because Djokovic was playing good ball. Like he was playing 100%. Good ball, and Djokovic had just beat him at the French Open in the semifinals a few weeks before that, right?
You think that was more of a torch passing than Sinner's match in the French in the semi?
I think the torch had already been passed, considering where Djokovic is right now in his career. At that point, I believe Djokovic won the U.S. Open that year, so like he's still right there. Like
sure,
he's still right there. Right. Did he? Yeah, I believe so. Yep.
I knew in 23 was his last slam. I was trying to remember.
Yeah, I think he won U.S. Open that year, and he also won the French Open right before that. So did he win? He won Australian that year too. 23. Yeah, he won Australian. He beats Tsitsipas, I believe, in the final. Maybe won the French. Lost Wimbledon. Won the U.S. Open. Anyways, not important. Those are the ones that kind of stick with me.
Yeah.
And I also host the French Open parties. I mean, a Wimbledon party, 4th of July at my house. So that's I'm not a complete hater.
Big deal. Yeah. No question. Nor am I taking your thoughts to be hateitude, haterade. I think Wimbledon is an acquired taste for anyone. It looks great on TV for most people, but it's an acquired taste because it has so much pomp and circumstance and it looks so unbelievable. And to your point, there can be some very suspect points. You're not running that hard because you'll slip and fall and bust your head open. There's so much that tennis requires balance and some level of traction, and you don't have much. I forget where we were when I was warming up school one time, and Alvin, I swear to God, I'm bouncing the ball about to serve, and it's hitting this mound of a little bit of dirt. I don't know if we were at Orangi Park, across the street or whatever. The bounce of my ball, Alvin, is going every which kind of way. It got to the point where I was like screw bouncing.
Right.
Like I was literally having to find a level spot to bounce the ball. Now, Orangi Park doesn't have the same quality of well-maintained, pristine courts as Wimbledon, all England club. But my point being, it's just what you think it is. And the fact these people are hitting the ball shows you how hitting the ball well, off of a not pure bounce, a not pure surface, and trying to find traction somehow, let alone hitting it pretty clean. And then you have those artists among those phenomenal players that make it look like it's an art form. You know what I mean? So to me, it's when you realize how hard it is to hit a ball on the grass and how low it skids and how, it's nothing short it's nothing short of inspiring if you've actually hit on grass to know how hard it is to do. I mean, I was slicing everything. I was slicing forehands, Alvin. Because it was on you so fast.
I as a person and as a tennis player, I don't like being rushed. Okay. Right. I like to manage my time. Buddy. Don't rush me.
Buddy.
I played on grass one time.
You will be
one time at the Tennis Hall of Fame in Rhode Island. Newport, Rhode Island. Yeah. I was there for an event and finished up, and we had about an hour left of daylight. Courts are had an open court, so I was like, gotta do it. I get out there, like within 5 minutes, my hips were on fire. Like, why do I have
Yeah.
to stay this low? Like, this is
Yeah.
hard. This is very, very difficult.
Yeah.
And then every
Yeah.
ball is on me so fast. So fast. I'm hit with my
Your prep has to be before almost
oh my
pre-hit,
God, I'm hitting my girl
you know?
Spicer, and like she hasn't hit a topspin ball since, like, I don't know, 85, and like,
Right,
just this is
right.
it's just on me. Every ball is on me, and I'm like, this is not the tennis that was made for me. Not for me. It's for some.
Right.
It's not for
Right.
me. Not for me.
Yeah, no, it's as I say, for those of us who've hit on grass, to be able to see it and to be able to, and then understand what they're doing, but their midichlorians level is beyond, what most humans have. I mean, the prep to read the field, and I understand it's, they played on a lot and they understand. Dude, go hit on grass and come back and talk to
Yeah.
me. You know what I mean? Go hit on grass first and then come back and tell me how easy it is or how easy it looks.
And tell me how it felt when the first time the racket felt like it was coming out of your hand.
Oh my God. And when you whiffed the ball because you were 4 inches above the
Right.
flight.
You're definitely above.
What I mean, of a
You're definitely above. Definitely above.
When you almost fell from the whiff of your swing on a hard ball that you thought you were going to tag. You know what I mean? And so maybe or maybe not a true story there, Alan.
Hey,
I mean, just saying.
Yeah.
But
I don't disbelieve you one bit.
Crazy
It's very, very difficult.
Crazy
It's very, very
fast.
difficult.
So anyway, I'm looking forward to it. I'm always looking forward to Wimby. I'm looking forward to coming over to your city.
Yeah, baby.
I'm looking, as I say, I'm looking for a nice change. We've just had some phenomenal rallies, long points, build up. Now we're going to see who can get in, who can come forward, who can slice, who can move, who can come forward. To me, I miss the volleys. I miss the volleys that the game has we've kind of gotten away from. Ironically, and this happens at every so many generations, you start seeing a certain play style kind of phased out. And then for whatever reason, another one kind of makes a comeback. And then the next wave kind of comes back. There was a time period back in the mid 80s to early 90s where I literally saw the one-hander die. And you could just see every good player was coming through from Wilander to Agassi. The two-handers were just taking over, right? And then along comes Pete. And I'm like, yes, we have one, and then you had and then obviously a few others came through.
Rafter,
obviously,
Kafelnikov.
Rafter, Scud. You talk about Mark had a one-hander. There's so many. And then it came through. Then of course you brought the big hitter came in. Obviously Satham was big guy, big hitter, and the power game came in. You're like, oh yeah, this is it. Everybody's got to be hitting ball big, come forward, hit big, and then all of a sudden, then there's this little guy named Leighton Hewitt started coming in and started countering everything and running balls down. So I feel like in every generation we're starting to, everybody was pounding ground strokes for the last several years, and then now the guys, Novak in particular, is starting to come forward more on the grass, and you're starting to see. If anybody I would have thought wouldn't come forward, it'd be Novak Djokovic. And the guy comes forward better than most. He's got darn good volleys.
Oh, yeah.
Like phenomenal volleys and touch and feel like he's doing all his life. Sko played with Novak, in 04. He had no volleys. Zero.
Well, I mean, you got 20 years on tour. You're bound to figure it out at some point.
But my point, it wasn't like he always did.
Right.
I hear stories of Chris Everett Lloyd back in the day, and Chris Evans could always volley. She just didn't do it. But she always had good volleys. Novak did not have volleys, and that brother has got phenomenal volleys. Like he's been indoors all his life. I mean, like, of course, I volley. And I just say it to say it's good to see that style or those players with those additional skills start to use them more when you didn't realize how good they were or how good their B game, or in some of these guys' cases, their C game actually is for moments like this, for tournaments like this. So that's the part that I look forward to seeing, is seeing it change up a little bit and seeing how else they can beat you. I guess it was a point I was trying to make earlier, is seeing the other ways of their greatness. And then you can really appreciate how good they are.
Or start to see how unspecial some of the rest of them are.
Or some of them can be, 100%. 100%.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. I'm not going to say his name because I'm not going to call him out. Lorenzo said, but I'm looking forward to seing your boy come through strong.
Wait, why does he have
to? We're gonna see.
He's not my.
He's your boy, Alvin. Don't sleep on your boy now. You have held candlelight vigil for this dude.
Okay, fine. Fine.
He's for the world. He's for the world.
Fine.
Semis.
No, I mean, he's probably like 6, 7, something like that. You know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what he's ranked. We know he can play. He's semifinaled
Yes, he can
Wimbledon.
play.
He's semifinaled.
Yes, he can
Semifinaled French
Of course
Open.
he can play.
He's the truth.
He's a
the
darn
truth.
good player.
I would really like to live in a world where we come into the U.S. Open with some stakes. Like I want number one in the world to matter, and it feels like it doesn't matter to anyone anymore. Like it's like the top players seem to care less about being number one and more about winning slams. I would love to pop up in Turin and the number one player in the world title is really on the line. Like it's on the line. Like winner of this event is number one in the world for the year 2025. That would be really cool.
And you don't think that's a point? That's a point situation, a structural thing?
It is. It is. But now we have
a bonus pool thing.
Yeah, but now we have.
I'm just
it
saying.
is. They're too well incentivized. They're making a lot of money.
Right.
A lot of money.
Yeah.
And so whether or not you're 1 or 3, it doesn't really matter that much to them. But I want it to matter. I want the year championships to matter. And I think for that to matter, we need something like kind of need like Alcaraz to win this thing and like Sinner to lose in like the third round. Like that, because Alcaraz has the point. He has the points to defend, right? Sinner lost in the semis last year, so he would have to fall short to then like have something to chase this summer. So it's the points of the thing that I don't want to be thinking about, but that's the points make up this.
That's the game, unfortunately.
Right? That's the game.
Yeah. That's the game.
Anyways, I got nothing left. I feel like I wanted to talk about some grass. I wanted to talk about some Wimbledon. We did that. We got a draw coming out on Friday, which we'll tackle on Friday.
Yep.
Then
forward to that.
And then we got another Grand Slam next week.
Do you have any just few minutes of what you look forward to seeing from the ladies?
We did spend a lot of time talking about the men. And in the last episode where you were out and I caught up with my old buddy Patrick. We also spent a lot of time talking about the men, and that's a bit of an oversight on my part because I think anyone who's been watching this podcast for the last 9 months, however long we've been going here, know how much we ride for the women's game. Since
let's put a pin in it, and we will dedicate a segue.
I'm gonna say this. Since Ash Barty left women's tennis, the lack of creativity in the women's game, like the game is fine. The game is our stars on the women's side play a brand of tennis that is so much fun to watch. I oftentimes find myself when I'm at the Miami Open, I go watch the women play more so than I watch the men play, watch them practice.
Sure.
Charleston was my favorite trip in the last 12 months. At Wimbledon, it kind of makes the tennis a little more, even more so homogenous.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, one of my favorite Wimbledon champions who recently announced she's going to retire, Petra Kvitova, is like, but I mean, Kvitova, she ran through that tournament with a big lefty serve and a big lefty forehand. Like she is the female version of Richard Krajicek, like just the other, just being left-handed. Boom, boom, boom. That's it. Even Vondrousova, who's playing good ball right now. I mean, when she plays good ball, she tends to win tournaments.
Beat Sabalenka. Just a day or two ago.
She did.
That's who, and that was really who I was wanting to mention too. Is it
Vondrousova?
Marketa? Is that her first name? I've heard it pronounced both ways. I think it's Vondrousova, but I've always said Vondrousova just because I like to pronounce all the letters. But is it Marketa?
Marketa.
I've loved her game, and she's got, just because she brings in that nasty lefty and that little slice and the big and the out wide open stances. I love her game. That was the only one I was mentioning, was a couple of flying under the radar types like Marketa and your girl Madison can always be dangerous on this kind of a service just because of her serving a ground stroke. So I'm looking forward to seeing her, doing some good things. Though there's several. Anissa Mo was playing some good ball again. She's starting to play. Hopefully she's healthy. And obviously, I got to throw in. I know a few of the viewers are hating on me. I got to throw my girl JPEG in there one more time. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be a women preview if I didn't throw in something for Jessica. In all seriousness, and the viewers need to understand this. Some of these players I've known since they were 10, 11, 12 years old. I ran the girls 12 nationals for 7 years. So I've seen so many of these Coco, from the time they're little kids. So I think you have to appreciate I've coached a lot of good young ladies myself that had played this tournament. Shout out to Ansley, who's now married to Adam, who was a top player. Got to 88 or so in the world herself back in the day, and former Duke All-American and standout. There's just so many. Jamie Hampton, one of my favorite players, right? We worked with for a long time. There's so many. So my point is, I've seen a lot of these girls, and know a lot of them when they were younger kids. So that's why I am so pro some of the girls that I have seen come up through the mix. So just appreciate that it's when there's a personal connection, as always is the case. You root for those.
He's compromised.
A whole lot more.
He's compromised.
So he's compromised. I know somebody's wrote that. I was like, you know what? I'll take that.
That's fair. And I'm irrational about Madison Keys, which it's like we all have our hangups. We all have our hangups, and apparently Lorenzo Massetti
which is what makes the sport fun. And again, it makes the sport fun. I am, and this is the last thing I'll say, and then I'll we can both put a pin in it. Which is why the weird yetis of the game, like Bublik, are so fun, because they throw such a weird. They throw such a weird thing in the mix. The English would say a spanner in the works. They put such a spanner in the works that, because you're like, wait, I forgot about him, and all of a sudden that changes everything. And that's what I like about it. Both attitude, they're fiery. Those are the players that it's one of the reasons why I love to hate Yelena Ostapenko, because she's so fiery half the time, you know what I mean? And looks like she can get 2 cents half the time, and when she's playing ball, you're like, wow, the girl can play. I forgot how good she is. And so, but that's what you love about the tour, is all of these personalities are all competing, and you got this, they all come together at these slams for 2 weeks to all kind of, as everything kind of gets settled in. And buddy, it is an amalgamation of a whole lot of things. I mean, tension, skills, weather, nerves, you know what I mean? At points, it's all that. But that's what makes the slam a slam. That's what makes the game.
We're blessed to have this to talk about. We are blessed.
I agree.
To have this to talk about, have this to watch as fans. And don't let my shade for Wimbledon overlook my appreciation for the variety that grass does sprinkle in for us. But yeah, that's it for me. That's probably it for you.
It for me, big boy. Looking forward to coming, seeing y'all. Look forward to our little draw party, whatever.
Yeah, we'll
do some extra research and be ready to roll here. And it's gonna be a fun
slam.
One. It's gonna be a fun one.
Slam. All right, best of 3. We're out.
Peace.